Good grief, man. So today is Monday, the 28th of April. Yesterday was the NASCAR race at Talladega, and I watched all of about, 10 minutes of this thing before I finally just gave up on it. I mean, golly, man. This was the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen. I think what's killing NASCAR is all of these breaks and all of this dramatics and the fact that, a YouTube celebrity could come and be part of the NASCAR racing community, if he brings enough eyeballs. This is how magazines work, okay? Like, seriously, this is how magazines work. You bring eyeballs. You don't bring talent. You bring eyeballs. Well, eyeballs does not necessarily mean that you have talent, okay? It just means that you're a shock job. It means that you'll do anything for publicity. And for these people like Cletus McFarland and them, they'll combine publicity with NASCAR because it's easy and cheaper to do than other forms of racing. So see, what NASCAR has become is like software developers. It's a race to the bottom. I'm Matt Pierce. This is my podcast, and this is the Carb Time podcast, one of many media things that I do. But I want to talk a little bit about this because this whole thing with NASCAR is just disgusting me. I remember when NASCAR used to be something worth watching, okay? Back before you had, cars just, in a big old bunch. It's almost like they're promoting the big one. It's like they're just promoting this to happen and they're willing it to happen, and like, because that's what brings in ratings at the Demolition Derby, This whole NASCAR thing has just gotten out of control. I think NASCAR, if they brought back some actual racing and less theatrics, they would be onto something. And I'm not saying that racing itself isn't part theatrics, because God knows it is. I mean, it really is. NASCAR is just following, the modern entertainment footprint. But the reality of this is that NASCAR has gone so far down this wormhole, like with, cartoonish style characters and, these goofy looking software developer, avatars and all this other bullshit that they put into this for the production value. Okay. So let me tell you about how this works, okay? So this is a race to the bottom, okay? You can tell that Fox is relying on a lot of software developers and engineers, okay? I happen to work with a lot of software developers and a lot of engineers, okay, in my day job. One of the common threads that I hear with this is that it's not a race to the top. It's a race to the bottom when it comes to software engineering. You just simply repeat and repeat, copycat, make some subtle changes, and you're a fashion designer. You're not a thinker. You're a fashion designer. That, my friends, is part of this problem. Really. It really is. And NASCAR is a victim of cheap software designers, cheap graphics artists. NASCAR is a victim of this. And their racing on the track is representative of this ongoing millennial race to the bottom. I saw Mike Joy had apparently commented about this the other day, but in a different context. He was worried that there were too many older fans hanging around. They weren't bringing in any newer fans. Mike, I don't know. I tend to I like you, Mike Joy. I think Mike Joy's great. He's a legend, been around forever. Mike Joy knows what he's talking about. But I disagree. I think bringing in younger fans is part of it. But younger fans, they don't care about the sport, man. They don't. They don't care about the sport. They care about the experience. And this is what's kind of, in some ways, making Formula One softer. Like no cussing and, all this other bullshit that they do, to try to make it more rated G, and rated pussy, and all this stuff that they do. Take the gloves off. Let them race. Let's go back to some Kimi. Look, a guy in Formula One like Kimi Räikkönen or Ayrton Senna or Nigel Mansell, even a Niki Lauda, they couldn't survive in today's racing world. They couldn't, because they were good racers. They were great racers. Maybe a guy like in IndyCar, a guy like Rick Mears, great racer, wonderful personality. A guy like AJ Foyt couldn't make it today. A guy like Dale Earnhardt wouldn't be accepted in NASCAR. A guy like Sterling Marlin wouldn't be accepted in NASCAR. Even kind of a rebel rouser like Mark Martin, who kind of went with things and was a nice guy, couldn't make it in today's NASCAR because they need bubblegum chewers and, fake alcoholics, social alcoholics. I'm an alcoholic because I'm cool, man. Give me some beer. Woo! I mean, this race to me was just so boring, like so boring. It's like it gives proof to another left-hand turn by Cletus, another left-hand turn by Joey, another left-hand turn. Here they go to the bottom. Again, to the bottom, a race to the bottom. NASCAR to me has just lost it. And Fox is partly to blame for that. And I hope that they don't start doing this with IndyCar. One of the best IndyCar broadcasts I saw so far this year was Alan Bestwick and Hinchcliffe on IndyCar on YouTube for practice. It was not all the, graphics designer, software developer bullshit. It was clean. It was pure. It was real. But then when Fox or somebody gets on board with this, it's like they start adding all this bullshit to give you a better experience. Well, at some point, when are they going to learn that a better experience does not necessarily mean a flashier experience? Fox hasn't figured this out yet. Like this weekend, I was watching this UFL between a little bit. I was flipping back and forth between this UFL and this stupid NASCAR race. I was watching the Houston Roughnecks and the San Antonio Brahmas, whatever it is. I was watching this and it was cool and everything, but then you had these players, like sitting on the sidelines and they were just kind of like, well, they're going to do Chicago Lake. They're going to go do Chicago River. This is this is that. Okay, everybody's mic'd up and they're thinking that this is the cool way of doing it, like you're watching some sort of Netflix drama. Nobody cares. We're watching this for the football, I mean, at some point, a little bit of this is okay, but who really cares? I mean, at some point, you're just adding shit to be adding shit. There's no real, and you're listening at people who aren't giving you an honest opinion. You're listening at people who are just telling you shit to tell you shit because they think that's what you want to hear because the modern society is passive aggressive. I mean, you need to weed out the BS and start trying to find the reality of this because it's killing NASCAR. It's killing sports and it's making you not even want to watch sports anymore. I really want to see a return to just simple old school style racing and old school style commentary. That's what I want to see a return to. No cartoon characters as the personalities. I mean, I watch this and I wonder, could a guy like James Hinchcliffe make it in IndyCar today if he walked onto the scene? I love Pato O'Ward. I think Pato O'Ward is a really great personality for the sport. But deep down, you got to wonder if they're not keeping Pato O'Ward around because he's good publicity or what. I mean, Pato can win a race every once in a while. It's hard to do. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy to do, but at some point, Pato has an entertainment value and a marketing value built into him. You see, everybody does. I do, you do, the racers do. We all have an entertainment. If you work in entertainment or media or the public eye, there is some sort of entertainment value built into you, right? Well, what is that? We all have a shelf life too. And in this ongoing race to the bottom and everything that we do, how is the cream ever going to rise to the top if the cream is always stuck at the bottom because of this ongoing race to the bottom? All the good shit's at the bottom. So you have to skim off all this trash. This is my problem. And at some point, there just becomes too much gunk and too much trash to get it. You as a fan or you as a consumer finally just say, well, you know what, this is just too much. I'm giving up on this. Like, I'm not going to waste my time digging through all this scum to get to the good so I can watch the real race to the bottom. And while the cream just rises to the top and says, the scum rises to the top pretending it's cream, saying, look at me, boys, look at me, I'm a good one. Look, follow my YouTube page, www.youtube.com/Matt McFarland, or whatever, It's stupid. Oh, this shit sound like Boomhauer off of King of the Hill. Yo, man, that gum old racetrack, man, that gum thing went round, 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 man, round, round. Okay, I mean, I don't know. One guy I think that's kind of hitting this on the head is Dale Jr. Dale Jr. is merging modern and tradition with Dirty Mo Media. He is. I love what Dale Jr. is doing. because Dale Jr., instead of trying to copy his dad, is being his own man. And he's doing it in his own generation, in his own world. He's thinking outside the box. Dale Jr. is a cool cat that's doing a lot of cool things. And I respect Dale Jr. I do. I respect Dale Jr. a lot because Dale Jr. is living in this modern world, but yet he's still keeping touches of this thing. He's appealing to a very wide audience, and he's not just racing to the bottom. I think his whole Dirty Mo Media or whatever it is, this thing is good. He's good. He's on to something. And I think that we need more people doing this instead of just the shock value popularity contest, cute, cuddly little, please follow my Instagram page, Instagram.com/Bubba's Racing. People are getting tired of this. People are getting tired of it. People are getting sick and tired of it. So I don't know, but I think it applies to all sorts of things, these corny graphics that just distract you away from the sport, the graphics designers are trying to become the real stars of the show, and fucking outfits like Fox are allowing them to do it. I think this is stupid. I do. I think it's outright stupid. It's ludicrous, and then, in NASCAR, you have all these, these country crooners and country rappers and all this bullshit you see everywhere, and these corny advertisers and these dorky looking paint schemes. And, if say you're rooting for a team, you have to fucking pay attention because, well, all the cars, you got 39 to 43 cars or something on the track, and they're all painted differently with a different paint scheme, a different color, a different sponsor. And then if you're pulling for fucking Team Penske, you have no fucking clue which car you're going for. If you have to stop and figure this out. Well, who's their sponsor? Am I really wanting to do that? To where like in Formula One, and IndyCar's getting a lot that way too. And perhaps it always has been. But perhaps in Formula One, where there's 21 cars and, they're all painted, each team has its own color scheme, you're looking at Ferrari, you're looking at Mercedes, you're looking at McLaren, because while McLaren is, but see, this is the difference. Let me tell you the difference. Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, Atlassian, they don't allow the sponsors to come in and just take over completely the livery. There is still unique team identity. It's kind of like a jersey having one primary sponsor as a jersey sponsor. Of course, McLaren puts the Google hubcaps on, right? Okay, it looks sharp. It's attractive. You got Velo on the halo, right? Mercedes has Petronas. Okay. I mean, think about this. The cars aren't sacrificed. When you're looking at a Mercedes car, when you're looking at a McLaren, when you're looking at a Ferrari or a Red Bull or a Williams or an Alpine or whatever, those are their two cars. You don't have to stop and think about it. Fans don't like to stop and think. So instead, in NASCAR and in IndyCar, you have 40 different paint schemes, 40 different colors, 40 different identities, 40 different all this and that, because they're trying to be sponsorshiply diverse. And they just come in and they sell their soul and they let these sponsors do what they want. You got 43 billboards on the track instead of a handful of really expensive sponsors. You follow me? Expensive sponsors who don't want complete control. And this is where I think IndyCar and NASCAR, kind of the teams are being forced to kind of sell their soul to the sponsor. Sell your identity for money. That's the American way. Sell your whole identity for some money so you can go racing or so you can do whatever. Sell yourself out for $1. Well, you know what? Buddy, I tell you what, I know I've been an orange car for many, many years now, and our team colors have been orange for many, many years. I tell you what, you give me $150,000, I'll do what you want. You want me to be pink, I'll be pink. You want me to be red, I'll be red. Just give me the money. At some point, you're selling your identity out for pie in the sky dreams. That's pretty disgusting to me. I think that's part of the problem with American racing. I hope that Formula One, since Liberty Media has bought this thing out, which is an American company, sell your soul, sell your identity, sell everything else for $1. give me your dollars, step right up, come on in and play the game. I hope Liberty Media doesn't fall for this. I hope the bigger picture wins in Formula One. Because if not, they're going to end up being just like another NASCAR. 6,000 teams with 6,000 different paint schemes, all sold to the highest bidder so they can sell their soul out. That's where I'm at with this. So anyway, I'm Matt. This has been the Carb Time Podcast. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.